Oh.
Turn your microphones on when you're ready.
Testing. Hello.
Working. You're good.
All right, welcome everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. This is the Binghamton City Council Business Meeting. I call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Murray,
Present.
Councilmember Middleton,
Present.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Present.
Councilmember Rathmel,
Present.
Councilmember Matavetsky, present, Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Present.
Council President Dundon.
Present.
Thank you.
So first thing on the agenda, I'd like to get approval of the last meeting's minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Having a motion
Second.
and a motion and a second. All in favor in approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. So moving on, we'll do reports from committees. I know there was a MPA committee this week. Would you like to elaborate on that, Councilmember Middleton?
Yes, yesterday we had an MPA committee meeting regarding the marijuana legislation enforcement, new enforcement that's coming down. We plan to, the next steps is to have a town hall before it goes up to vote. It's regarding the enforcement of the illegal shops that we currently have here in the city of Binghamton. we didn't set a date yet for the town hall, but I do encourage people to come out to be educated on this issue before we vote on it.
I know we also had a meeting of the Commission for Conservation of the Environment. Councilmember Rathmel.
Sure. So not necessarily a commission report per se, but in relation to the Commission for the Conservation of the Environment, council members received concerns that had been elevated late last year from commission members regarding fluoridation in the city's water. We held subsequently a meeting of the Municipal and Public Affairs Committee to not only review existing data that had been represented, but also hear from Dr. Lazarus Gehrig with the County Health Department regarding additional data. And I do want to represent that after a full review of the data, City Council does not intend to move forward on addressing any aspects of the fluoridation concerns. That has also been communicated to the chair of the commission.
Thank you, Councilmember Rathmel. Councilmember Kavanaugh, would you like to report on COD?
No, I'd like to report on BLDC.
That one will work too.
Okay, BLDC had a meeting. There were two action items. We approved the DASNY funding for the Boscov's project, essentially. So that's $5 million in the state funding that's actually coming through and happening now, which is great news. And the other item was updating the BLDC's micro mini loan program, which was, I believe, used to be capped at $5,000. We've doubled that to $10,000. So there's a little bit of an increase in funding for small business lending through BLDC. So micro mini is less micro or mini.
I was going to ask you the name of the program again.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, so moving on with the agenda,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What, do you know the total cost of the Boscov's project? Was that outlined in your meeting?
I don't think anybody knows the total cost of the Boscov's project.
Thanks.
The state's
so-
giving, the state, there's $10 million from the state, and then there's, yeah, but you know.
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Last month, we did not have a traffic board meeting, as it was right after our local tragedy. We do have a traffic board meeting tomorrow morning at 9:15 right here in City Council chambers. The main one that multiple council members might be interested in is that we will be reviewing that Leroy Street safety assessment report that everyone got now probably 2 months ago. So that will be happening tomorrow's meeting. The agenda is posted. There was a little bit of complications with getting it up this morning, but it is posted for anyone who wants to go and read down. If you have any concerns or questions relating to any of the streets in your district, please let me know before the meeting or come to the meeting yourself.
Could you confirm the time?
9:15, yes, the draft agenda that I received had the incorrect time, so.
Okay.
But now the agenda matches the calendar, so pretty confident 9:15 tomorrow.
Okay, and moving on, we have no public hearings to set. We have no public hearing tonight, so we're going to go right to public comment. Residents wishing to submit public comment may do so electronically by emailing their comments prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting to the clerk at cityofbinghamton.gov, or they can come in person during the meeting. Anyone who'd like to come down and speak at public comment, please come down now. Please state your name and if you live or work in the city.
Kenneth Brown. I live in the city of Binghamton. I haven't been here in a while. I've got some fun new information. Over the last couple days, the USDA cut $1 billion in funding meant to help school districts and food banks buy healthier food from local stores, farms, farmers markets. $660 million of that canceled was meant for this school year for school districts to buy food. Now, clearly schools are already being affected by DOGE style cuts, and it could and most likely will get worse because they didn't end the free school lunch program yet, but that's the key word is yet. Because according to the School Nutrition Association, one of the potential cuts is free meals for 12 million students nationwide who are fed under the community eligibility provision. A lot of times people don't know if that affects them when they hear nationwide, but according to data from the Food Research and Action Center, Binghamton School District receives the community eligibility provision and 69% of the district qualifies. That's one district in Broome County. Now, I know you guys are not the Board of Education. I've emailed them my intentions, what I want to hopefully see happen, but I wanted to come up here today to try to get anyone's attention, politicians, citizens, whoever. I've been messaging people for the past couple of days that do a lot of work in the community, community organizers, just people that I've worked with to try and implement some kind of pre-plan before this inevitably happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen. If it does, until the end of the school year, and that gives New York State the summer to get things figured out. But without any plan, from my understanding, there is no backup plan by the state, by Broome County, by the school district. There's no emergency plan in place currently. I'm connected to a nonprofit. We have a relationship with a church that allows us to use their kitchen. It's health department approved. Normally I'm fine with complaining about the health department, but this time there's a little bit more important things like feeding kids that has to get done. And with it being health department approved, we can try our best to fill the gap if need be. I hope we don't have to, but I've been trying to get people together. So if anyone would be interested in helping with that in any way, I mean, I don't, at this point, I just want people's help because we need to feed the kids. I mean, we all know how hungry kids do well in school and it's not well. And this is one of those times where it's not going to be easy if we have to do it. It's potentially thousands of meals a day. But I mean, we have to. It's the kids. It's literally our future. I don't know how else to say it. And I've reached out to Binghamton School District just because that's the district that I live within. So I still wanted to start there. I'm hoping to hear from the Board of Education, from the head of nutrition, I believe is their title. I messaged the superintendent. I want to see something get done, but I know there are people out there, there are groups out there that can help. Now, if we have to do this alone, well, 7 of us will do our best, but we would really like some help. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to come down and speak? Good evening. Please state your name and if you live or work in the city of Binghamton.
Okay. And I live in the city of Binghamton. Now to add to, it's not coming. Okay, to add to what he said, my name is Elaine. I live in the city of Binghamton, but to add to what he said, it is true, but it's coming from the federal level, not the city level, not the county level, but the federal level. Republicans who have buried their heads in the sand and let Elon Musk say, oh, we got to do away with Board of Education. We got to do away with housing. No, those were all bad ideas that started with Ronald Reagan. Those are Ronald Reagan's bad ideas, and they didn't work then. They're not going to work now. So what we need to do is come together like LaGuardia did and Franklin Roosevelt did. We can create public housing. We can get SPOA on board to come to DSS, work with moms and dads, caregivers, and the children, or the moms and the children, or dad with children, or both. Either way, we need to get them involved with SPOA, single point of entry. A lot of people don't know about that. I didn't even know about it till Randy and I went over to Catholic Charities residential when we were going to be made homeless. So that's how I found about. The ladies there are fine. They will fill out the application. for the parent or the parents or the caregiver or caregivers, so they can get housing for them and the children. They'll recommend them to go to supportive housing. The easiest way to get in that I found that works, Catholic Charities Supportive Housing. And they do get you an apartment within 2 months. Randy got his permanent apartment within 2 months. I got mine within 3 months because what we did is he called every day and he showed an interest. That works the Catholic Supportive Housing. Once you get the apartment and they say, you got the apartment, do you want it? Yes, they supply a brand new bed. Catholic Charities will supply a brand new bed for each person that's moving into the apartment. And they supply a brand new microwave oven. They supply a coffee maker, brand new, and a toaster, brand new. And they do out of kindness of their heart for people. Now, that's how you prove you're pro-life, is by doing that. We didn't expect that. And they give people hygiene supplies and cleaning supplies in a basket, which is nice. They supply a brand new TV because with an antenna brand new, and they don't even have to do all that. They pay the first month's rent, so welfare no longer has to. So it's no longer at the expense of the state. Catholic Charities will pay the first month's rent and the security deposit, so it doesn't come at the expense of them. And the beauty about it all is that they pay 70% of our rent. We only have to pay 30%. They get it back to, I don't know what the name of it, Section 8. But that's how they get it back to, because Section 8 does the fundraising for that. It does not cost the taxpayers money either. You can check with Catholic Charities Supportive Housing. They're right next door to the Stepping Stone on Front Street now, and they will tell you everything they do for the people. We need to get slow in to help parents, caregivers with children on their hands to get housing. We need to do everything we can to protest nationwide in every city. We're against them taking food away from the children. We're against them taking away Board of Education. It didn't work with Ronald Reagan. It's not going to work with this one, because we have to think about our future voters and our young voters. That's what matters. And the other thing, congratulations on your win of getting 7 nights at the Up Comfort. That's better than only 5 nights, because there's people who actually don't do drugs. But we need to also go one step further. Have people get drug tested before they get referred to the emergency housing. It's out of abundance of caution because we don't know where they get housed at. We need to get people out of those motels because that's too expensive. That's $299 being billed to the state and another $205 being billed to the consumer just to live there. So we need to get them in permanent housing where they only pay like $250 a month or $317 at the most a month. Okay, so we can work on those steps.
You have about a minute left.
Okay. So I'm going to pretty much close, but I'm proud of you guys for getting past. And I expect Republicans to work with you on these common sense bills, because that's what LaGuardia did. He was a progressive Republican, but he worked alongside Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was a Democrat president. He won 4 terms because he did all those things and accomplished all those things. The reason why Republican LaGuardia is considered an employee in New York and it's unbeatable is because what he did. He created public parks, public playgrounds, and public housing, which means we have to protect affordable rent and public housing. With that, I'll close.
Thank you so much. Good evening, sir. Please state your name and if you live or work in the city of Binghamton.
Mike Dervey, First District, and I'm retired from the purchasing agent from the city of Binghamton. Just to give you a background, I did 24 years as a purchasing agent in the private industry, 22 years in public. And I want to talk about the Siemens contract that you guys have on the contract right now. To approve a $4 million contract that's going to encompass money for the next 20 years for council people that aren't even going to be here, without having an apples for apples proposal in front of you. I mean, the city might have gone out and got people that might have been interested. How many people walked through the same walkthrough that Siemens did, that so that you have an apples for apples? Maybe somebody's proposal was different. When we do engineering, large engineering contracts, let's say example, renovate City Hall, we go out for an RFQ. We get 15 or 16 engineering firms. We review them. We shortlist that down to 3 or 4. Those 3 or 4 then give them the full breakdown of the details and say, please put together a proposal and do a presentation in front of a committee who then scores and votes on on those proposals. And then the winning company gets the bid and does the job. And then they negotiate pricing and everything else. This is just $4 million without two legitimate proposals. And how many of you were sitting on a committee that looked at or heard the proposal beforehand and chose who was going to be the vendor? Now let's talk about these 44 car chargers or 40 some chargers that you're going to be putting in that they want to put in. Dr. Juliet did a fantastic job when I was purchasing agent. She got car chargers through NYSERDA. But one thing you got to remember, the car chargers are free. Like, they're going to supply the car chargers, but somebody has to do the concrete pad that the charger sits on. Somebody has to run all the electrical to those car chargers. Somebody NYSEG has to come in and tie in that electrical. Are they going to reimburse you? Is that built into the contract that they're going to reimburse you for those labor hours and everything? Or is that going to be another executed charge that you guys are going to have to eat, that the city workers are going to have to pay for? Second is, any of their labor rates under the prevailing wage, were they given a prevailing wage scale? Because let me tell you what, when I took over and we did do away with their labor and we only kept the maintenance, the performance contract, and because that was 20 years, we had to pay that. We found it was cheaper to use local labor, our T&M contracts, to fix. But you can only go so far with the local because some of their system is proprietary from the control panels to the controls. So Siemens has to come in to fix that. There's no way around it. So you're gonna have to pay their labor rates. Plus their labor rates are charged from when they leave the shop. They were leaving from Syracuse and coming to Binghamton. They charged us from Syracuse to Binghamton, Binghamton to Syracuse. So you had 3 hours to charge even before they started working on the project. He told me now they're coming out of Corning. So you're going to get charged now from Corning to Binghamton and Binghamton back to Corning, plus on-site labor charges. Are they going to be at prevailing wage or are they going to be at their rate of pay? What happened to our local vendors? You guys say you want to do your due diligence. What happened to the due diligence? Where's our local vendors in this? How come you don't have a second proposal in front of you from any local? Why didn't you have somebody come in that could have? And what's the rush? Is this an emergency that's going to shut the city down, or it's going to be residents are going to go broke because you guys don't sign this $4 million right now?
You have about a minute left.
Let's go out there and do it the right way, just like we do with the engineering contracts. If they want the contract, they'll resubmit, but let somebody else do a walkthrough and give you a proposal. Maybe some of the ideas they're saying isn't going to be on the other guy's contract. Or if you need to get a new air handler or something, bid the air handler, buy a new air handler through a bid. It's just common business sense. And like I said, I was in the business for 46 years. I've never seen a $4 million contract trying to be flushed down your throat this quick. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to come down and speak during public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and we'll move on. We have no mayoral veto to review, so we're going to go into second read legislation. This is introductory of ordinance 025-17, considered in finance, and I'll pass it over to Councilmember Kavanaugh.
To motion to pass 025-17, an ordinance to authorize an agreement with Siemens Industry.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, discussion.
I just want to say that just to the speaker that came up before, I think my sentiments are the same. You know, some of the same things that he's saying. I like some of them. I like some of the ideas, and I don't like some of the ideas, but for me, I will be voting no on this contract. So that's all.
Does anybody else have a discussion?
Oh, yeah, no, I would say though that even though I'm voting no on this, I think one of the ideas, and I've been speaking to people, is just to go back and start from the beginning. So that's just my, and put together the things that we like and take out the things that we don't like. But like I said, I'm voting no on this.
Does anybody else have a discussion before I get into mine?
I guess I want to reiterate a point that I made at the previous meeting, which was when I reached out to the references that the process that some of these successfully passed contracts went through were different than what we've experienced here as a council. So there was the one process that involved council members 2x2 meeting with Siemens to before even the walkthrough happened, and then after the walkthrough. So council members were involved in the whole process of figuring out what went into the contract, much more inclusive process. And then the other example, which was a little bit more similar to what we experienced, but different in that council was part of the 5-year capital plan that the mayor other situation had, and that mayor drew from the 5-year capital plan that had been collectively developed with council members to create what was put into the contract. So I wanted to kind of raise that up, that when these contract and the people were very positive about their interactions with Siemens and years into it. And again, these were the references that were provided by Siemens as the disclaimer. But it was overall very positive, but those governments worked very differently with their legislature. So I may have more to say later, but I wanted to reiterate that.
Okay, so I've been through the Siemens contract front, back, up, down, and in between. And the Siemens engineer and the sales guy, Tommy, have been great. They've answered numerous questions of mine. And I've reached out to municipalities, both that have had good dealings with Siemens and bads. With our actual contract, some of the things that I think are needed for the city and I think would be a great benefit would be the lighting upgrade from LED to fluorescent lights, programmable thermostat installation, which both of those two are common sense, and they would also save the most energy. Weatherization upgrades. I think the weatherization upgrades would be good, minus fire department headquarters. I don't know how a fire station that's less than 5 years old needs single door weather stripping, overhead door weather stripping, rooftop exhaust fan sealing, soffit area sealing, or roof wall interface sealing. You'd think being an updated fire station, all that would be done. Now the fire stations 1 and 4, 1, 4, and 2, I believe would absolutely need those. The emergency generator heat pumps at City Hall, the water filtration plant, and Pennsylvania Ave pump station, I think would definitely be needed. The stuff that I don't like in the contract and I question, the AHU duct sealing. In the scope of work, it states right here, a pre-inspection will be conducted of the existing ductwork to identify leaks, gaps, and other issues. So in the walkthrough, there must not have been any kind of pre-inspection, I'm guessing, was done to even know what ducts, if any, would need any kind of gap sealing. The needlepoint bipolar ionization has been something that I've been back and forth on. And in reading through the scope of work, and I did double check with the Siemens guys, that Siemens does not warranty this. Siemens provides the FIM, which is a facility improvement measure, as is. Siemens makes no warranties, express or implied, with regard to the efficacy of this FIM, including without limitation, warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose, course of dealing, and usage or trade. Now, there is a manufacturer's warranty on it, but that's if the client follows all the manufacturer's instructions with regards to submitting the warranty claims and obtaining the warranty service if that happens. The other thing that I also question is the 30 EV charging stations. So according to the city, the intent is to have the most robust local charging network to support adoption of EVs in the community and promote attraction that will drive traffic off highways as part of a national charging network. I'm not sure where Cheryl Lindsay or First Ward Park fall into those categories, yet they will receive more EV chargers than Rec Park. I think some of the pros in the contract, I think, would definitely be needed to kind of chime in after the purchasing agent. As far as I'm understanding, there was no RFQs. It was just a deal with the mayor and Siemens, even though they do have other contracts with the city. I would have to say if Siemens is doing the work through their contract, prevailing wage will not be any part of that. And I've spoke with the Siemens guys. I would like to scrap this contract as a whole and either put it all the way out to bid and get multiple different people to come in and be interested, or let's focus on what would actually seem like it would benefit the city versus stuff that, I mean, I just don't think it's going to be beneficial to be putting our city on the hook for 20 years for, if you do the full performance awareness program, it'd be $4.4 million roughly. And I'm not in support of this contract as is. Does anybody else have any other discussion on this matter?
Just wanted to formally state that I also have some significant concerns with the contract that's in alignment with President Dundon and also or purchasing agent that spoke during public comment. And I'm also in support of starting the process over, making sure that there are competitive bids being submitted and also going through a contract of determining exactly what it is that needs to be done to support our city. This is a lot of money, and I think that we have to do what's right financially for our constituents. And yeah.
And to add on, I did talk to a couple different people in the county more off the record, so I won't say their name, but they said it was more beneficial to put each piece out to bid than it was to lock themselves into a energy contract like this for a long time period. Anyone else?
I think city council has been performing our duty. We've all looked at this myriad of ways. There are some concerns with the contract, for sure, changes in scope that we might have liked to be in earlier in the process. Just as to put some weight on the other side of the issue, I would point out a few things. These energy performance contracts have become a standard and common way for municipalities to deal with energy upgrades. We did one of these in 2001. It did pay off. It was very similar in structure and in the sort of upgrades we're doing. I have, through this process, become much more skeptical of some of the more esoteric, higher technology upgrades that some other municipalities are going through. The vast majority of the savings and the vast majority of the work is in the pretty standard upgrades of fixtures and lighting and everything. That's where the savings is coming from. That's where most of the work is being done. I have concerns, again, over how the fire department was handled. I have concerns over the fact that we might not know what our heating ducts do or do not need. That could be some change orders down the line that are unexpected. So that is a concern. I am concerned though that some of the EV charging components, that money may very well run dry by the time we restart this process, go out to bid, and start over. I think we have the right to do that. I don't, and I agree that it should probably have been put out to, with an RFQ in the first place. But I do believe there is a risk in doing that we are going to run into issues with some of the grant aspects that are involved in the contract. I would also point out that, again, we are using more wasteful types of lighting in particular than the alternative. So we are spending money either way over the course of this contract. It's a matter of whether we're putting it in new and upgraded fixtures or whether we're just paying it to NICEAG. And the alternative to this funding model is to either gradually pay for things piecemeal or add it to our overall city indebtedness through the bond process, which puts it on the books. This is a method, this leasing process is a method of keeping that segregated and spreading, but still spreading the cost over the useful life of all the things we're installing. So for me, is this a case of do not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Let me start that again. Do not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Do we take an imperfect contract now, or do we work on a better contract and hope that the other incentives that we're hoping to reap from the contract are still there? I don't know. I guess I'll make my mind up in the next 5 or 10 minutes.
I guess following up on that, I really would hope that as a body, we take climate change seriously over the course of our term and do something important for our infrastructure. If it isn't this, it's not going to kill me if it isn't this, but we've kind of been handed something. I wish we had been involved in the process. But a lot of work did go into it. And what I would be looking for to be convinced to vote no on this would be for council members who are interested on really driving this to get us somewhere where we can upgrade and do something about climate change here in the city. That commitment of focus, so that we get something that, ideally better than what we're looking at now. But that is going to take people making a concerted effort to put that together. And if that commitment is here, there's a committee that's planning to take it on and really drive it. Then I would be open to voting no. Otherwise, I'm leaning towards a yes, because climate change is petrifying and every city needs to do something. I mean, and if this is something we can do without where we, break even, there's that. So anyway, I will open it up if there are people with expertise. I'm looking particularly at President Dundon, since he is our expert on contracts here, that are willing to really put in the time to drive forward and get us to something better. Then I will vote no.
I would be all for that, but seeing how we were left out of the first process, I don't know if we would be involved in the second process. I mean, Hadassah, you own an EV car. So if we put chargers in now, what's the chances that those 33 chargers are still going to be relevant in 15 years? Or are we going to be tearing them out and then have infrastructure that we have nothing to do with, or we spend the money to upgrade?
I don't know, and I am open to fewer chargers than were put in this contract. If we're gonna take the time to renegotiate or create a new contract or do a full new bidding, or however it's gonna be a big haul, and I will support people driving that forward.
I mean, climate change is something that, it probably sits in the back of all of our minds, but to literally have our kids and our grandkids pay off something that we're unsure on, I mean, we were just listening to public speakers talk about the children as the future. We're going to tie them into a 20-year agreement on something that you're not sure or we're unsure on. I mean, you better be 100% sure because that's who's going to pay this off. I mean, 2045, I'll be long, probably retired and out of this area, but my kids will still be here. I mean, my grandkids will be here by that time. My kids are older. So, I mean, at the end of the day, am I going to have them fit the bill on something that I'm not comfortable with? No. And that's something that I could stand alone on this and I'll be just fine with that. Anybody else?
Sure. I'm kind of, yeah, this is, I'm on the fence. But it's kind of a gut feeling that it just doesn't quite feel perfect. And not that everything has to be perfect, but that's just kind of my initial reaction to this contract, but both in the amount of money and the amount of time that it will be sitting on the books and the kind of the fun financial maneuvers we're kind of imposing. We're going to start with a lease and then maybe move it on to a bond. I think that kind of concerns me that we're avoiding putting it into debt so that we can, but we'll later put it into debt. That kind of sends a signal that it's like we shouldn't be doing this, but we have the ability to if we do it this one way. But I mean, in general, it's like I think everybody supports energy efficiency and improvements to how much electricity we're using, how much energy we're using. It's just, and I wish it wasn't the case here that we have this split government that makes us all kind of either out of the loop or suspicious of how other decisions are made that we're not included in. And I definitely don't want that to be the reason that we're in these situations where we have to kind of go with gut feelings rather than known facts. But that's, yeah, there's just something doesn't feel right about it. And there's been few cases that I've been looking up that have been sent to me regarding like Siemens FBI probes, which doesn't necessarily reflect what's happening like here in this or like any local dealings, but it's still like I think it damages the reputation of a company if there is that large payout. And it makes me it's unsettling and makes me nervous. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
And just to add to that, if we're gonna use the lease agreement now to bond for it next year, why not just bond it out and go through the process? So I don't have anything else to say. Does anybody else? Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Rathmel,
No.
Councilmember Matavetsky,
Yes.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Nay.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
No.
Councilmember Murray,
No.
Council President Dundon.
No.
Thank you. That is 2-5.
Okay, moving on to first read legislation, introductory to ordinance 025-08, considered an employees, and I'll hand this over to Councilmember Murray.
Thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance to amend the Department of Public Works budget. And this is focused on modifying or adjusted the responsibilities line. I believe it's regarding oh. I thought that's what
I'll second her motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Murray, please continue with your discussion.
Sorry. This is regarding some challenges with having vacant positions. And so this change would allow them to be able to move around some salary lines.
So I'd like to chime in that I think Josh Paludi is a wonderful employee of the city and he definitely deserves this. I would also like to hopefully see in the near future that our employees have trust that they should take management appointed positions and not be unwilling to step up into those positions, because I think he would make a great commissioner of the Department of Public Works. Anybody else?
Yes, hooray, Josh Moody. Continue to get great feedback relating to the hills of the south side and the work being done there. He's always been responsive to me, and even without the president hat, I get good response. And he's seemed kind and genuine whenever I've come to him with issues. So thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
So this is, again, to echo what you guys have already said, my problem with this isn't so much the paying for the work that's being done, but it's the constantly having people acting outside of their role, and that that we have a few different acting commissioners or acting department heads, and it doesn't sit well with me. I understand that could be a scenario that happens for a short period of time, but it was the same thing last year, and I think we should have resolved it by now. So that's what's driving me nuts about this, and that's why I introduced the different RL to make it potentially more attractive to actually have that role filled. I'm probably just going to vote against this because I think we need an actual commissioner that's in that appointed position, but it's not because I don't think that they deserve to be paid for the work that they're doing.
Anybody else have anything else they'd like to add?
Well, I guess tying it back into the previous thing with the that I was saying about how the other city or town operated with the Siemens contract, with having a 5-year plan that was built around things. Yes, so acknowledging what Councilman Hotchkiss is saying, that when we don't have people that are full-time in their roles, that the long-term planning can't be as addressed because they're doing their position and part of another position. So I agree that we do need to get there, but we also need to deal with the reality and support someone who works very hard.
Anybody else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel. Aye. Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Nay.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton. Aye. Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-1.
Moving on, introductory to ordinance 025-23, considered in employees, and I'll hand this over to Councilmember Murray.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 025-23, which is to authorize the mayor to accept a grant for firefighter cancer screening.
I have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Having a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I support
Seeing
it.
none.
It's kind of straightforward.
Seeing none, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel. Aye. Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 7-0.
Next is introductory to ordinance 025-24, considered employees, and I'll hand it back over to Councilmember Murray.
Making a motion to adopt ordinance 025-24, which is related to the firefighters department budget for medical services.
And a motion, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Give that to Councilmember Matavetsky. And do we have any discussion? Hearing none, can
mean,
we do a?
Cancer screening.
Yeah. It's kind of like certain things. I'm just gonna do a quick look, and if nobody makes eye contact, we're gonna move it on. So we'll go on to the roll call.
Councilmember Rathmel.
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton.
Aye.
Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That's 7-0.
Moving on to introductory to ordinance 025-25, which is also considered employees, and handing it back to Councilmember Murray.
Making a motion for ordinance 025-25, which focuses on a title change for the water sewage system for a system maintenance. No words today. An ordinance to change the title of water sewer system maintainer to helper.
The motion, can I hear a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
Oh, not at all.
Seeing,
Whoa.
Wait,
None from you, none from you.
oh, no, I could have said it. It's just basically they're changing the job title in order to hire someone for which treatment, but
it's basically an apprenticeship.
yes, it's not like we don't really have to go into detail. I mean,
No,
it's
I think what I appreciate about this is that Jeff, the water department head, is actively trying to change things to fill positions that are unfilled. And anytime that is happening, I will acknowledge it because I appreciate people adapting to a changing environment. That's all.
Are you giving him a gold star?
yes,
One gold star for Jeff.
yes.
I think I would echo appreciating his transparency and willingness to respond to questions during work session meetings. Being able to identify the efforts he has made over time that led him to this, the request that he's presenting. I mean, I've appreciated that transparency, the willingness toward accountability as well.
He always tells it like it is. I love that about him. And also he's always looking for different ways outside of the box to really help out with his department. So I like that.
Really good reviews. I do hear from constituents about how quick they are to respond.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard good things about Jeff. Do you have something you want to say, Councilmember
I was
Murray?
just going to echo what everyone said. It was evident from Monday that he has put a lot of thought and intentionality into the decisions, and his transparency was definitely appreciated. So I just wanted to share that.
Okay, we'll go on to the roll call.
Councilmember Rathmel.
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton. Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 7-0.
And we're moving on to introductory to ordinance 025-26, considered in finance, and I will hand it over to Councilmember Kavanaugh.
I motion to pass 025-26, an ordinance to amend the 2024 capital fund budget for pump repair.
Second,
The legislation is correct. Yep, no. Yep, no.
Having a motion and a second, do we have a discussion?
Jeff detailed the need for this. We have two aged pumps that broke down in close proximity to each other, which could put us in bad shape if it rains too much. Fortunately, there is money left in the personnel line from last year to cover this very expensive repair.
Anybody else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel.
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton.
aye.
Councilmember Murray.
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 7-0.
And introductory to ordinance 025-27, also considered in finance, I will hand it over to Councilmember Kavanaugh.
I'd like to motion to pass 025-27, an ordinance to amend the 2024 Gulf Fund budget for over budget lines.
I have a motion. Can I have a second?
Oh.
Councilmember Murray. No, it was Carla.
Murray.
So having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
Was this one, was someone looking into this one? I can't remember.
I mean, what aspect of it?
The overruns, I couldn't remember if this was the one that someone was looking at. If not, then that's okay.
It's we're for the full year, we're about, what was it, $46,000 over budget, which is less than half of what they've been running. So we're coming closer and closer to even. There were some extra labor costs. One of the chunks of extra labor costs was that golf course personnel actually helped out on the deck project. So we actually saved probably some money on the deck project by having them do some of the prep work. And then there were some increased items in getting the deck food and beverage operations up and running. That was a big chunk of this. So again, cross fingers that next year we're actually breaking even. So golf course is open already, I'm told. So I have some friends with tea times on Friday. So golf in March in Binghamton. So it's a good start to this year.
Those are some brave individuals. Anybody else? Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel,
No.
Councilmember Matavetsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Murray,
Aye.
Council President Dungeon, excuse me.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 6-1.
So we're moving on to introductory resolution R 25-12, considered in planning, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Rathmel.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adopt RL 25-12, a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a $30,000 grant from the Broome County Health Department.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, any discussion?
When you're ready for me, I don't know if you want.
Sure, I was just going to represent, this is in relation to Broome County Health Department's Creating Healthy Schools and Communities initiative, but I know there has been some discussion with the district impact.
So, two projects were represented. It was a Greenway project and a rec park project. The primary project that the county health department is interested in is actually Oak Street by the Binghamton High School, where they're having a lot of safety issues. That is their focus and primary intent of the use of this money. So there was some miscommunications and whatnot, but I do have some official things I can read into the record here to add some clarity. The actual contract we're voting on is pretty open-ended, and that's intentional so that there's flexibility so that we can actually spend out this money. But again, there's slightly different intent than what was represented Monday. So I have talking points from the health department here. Creating healthy schools and communities, and I'm terrible at reading so out loud, so apologies if I sound funny. Okay, creating healthy schools and communities, connecting activity-friendly routes to everyday destinations initiative overview. Aims to work collaboratively with municipalities to enhance urban planning policies and programs that promote safe and accessible opportunities for physical activity. The focus on improving pedestrian, bicycle, and transit systems to create environments that encourage active listening and connect people to key destinations in their communities. This is done through adopting and implementing policies such as Complete Streets, Vision Zero, and Safe Routes to School. Broome County Health Department's CHSC team has been advised by CHSC grant manager to prioritize the raised pedestrian crossing at Oak Street in front of the Binghamton High School as the top project of concern for the grant year. Other implementation projects, benches on 434 Greenway and connecting Recreation Park to surrounding schools utilizing wayfinding signage. So those were those secondary projects that we heard about. But again, primary focus, Oak Street. The raised crosswalk, which is in line with BMTS's recommendations, would provide a safe space for students to cross, discouraging them from weaving between cars. It would raise pedestrians into the sightline of drivers, increasing visibility and therefore safety, as well as force cars to slow down before pedestrians cross in the same way that speed bumps would. Bullet points. Students can get involved with the creation of the crosswalk through an art contest. Winners will be able to showcase their art on the street before/after the crosswalk. This will both make the crosswalk more aesthetically appealing and increase student buy-in. Bullet point 2, education and awareness surrounding proper and importance of use can be completed through CHSC and traffic safety program partners. Bullet point 3, since assessment studies have already been conducted by both BMTS and Broome County Health Department, the CHSC team feels confident moving forward with the rubber crosswalk before Binghamton Central School District assessment is complete. This provides an opportunity for an assessment to be conducted both before and after the installation of the crosswalk, giving the opportunity to demonstrate efficacy before committing to a permanent solution. So that's from the health department. Now I have something from the superintendent. Well, I want to make sure we're really good. I told these people I'd read their stuff in so that we got it real clear so that everyone is on the same page. The health department, the school district, that the focus is public safety and that the park elements are nice to haves, but the need to have is Oak Street. Councilwoman Matavetsky, the Binghamton City School District is in support of receiving a temporary crosswalk for Oak Street outside of Binghamton High School main entrance through the grant from the county. It is our understanding that the health department's assessment of the traffic on Oak Street can be in part addressed by a crosswalk, supporting a safer environment for onboarding and offboarding students at Binghamton High School. The district is engaged in transportation study that will inform long-term solutions, and we anticipate having the results from the study in June 2025. It is also our understanding that any long-term solution will require funding on the part of the city, which will take additional time. Having a temporary crosswalk will help us to have an immediate solution while seeking the additional funding ultimately needed. Thank you to the support of both council and the mayor's office for your work in helping to keep our students and families safe. Superintendent of schools. So there's two pieces there. So what was represented on Monday was that there was a study that the school district is paying to have done, and that is the case. I did also reach out to the staff member with Binghamton City Schools who's championing running that project. And they do believe, and they're going to put pressure on, I believe the company's name is Passero, to try and get preliminary results from that study by end of March, early April. So hopefully that will still be able to be funneled in to the thought process of how, again, what we're actually voting on is relatively flexible. But I wanted to make sure that it's very clear that the intent, when at least when I am voting for this tonight, which I intend to vote for because we do need to spend this money down and accept it quickly, which is why I agreed to expedite, even though I wanted to dig into it, is for public safety and for what's going on at the high school. So if you have any more questions, I have more information, but I think I'm making people's eyes glaze over. So stop.
Does anybody else have anything? Councilmember Kavanaugh?
So I'm in support of the stated priority intent for the grant and the legislation. But did you say wayfinding signs in rec park for schools?
Yes, so I can speak a little bit to that. I had a snippet of a conversation about that. Because of the nature of the grant, it can't be limited to trail improvements within a park. It has to be part of connecting that to broader school paths. So my understanding was that if the money ends up getting used for the paths and rec park, actually the majority of it would end up being for signs, and it really wouldn't go very far to work in the park.
I would like to go on record that I'm opposed to wayfinding signs for the schools from rec park, because you can see Horace Mann School, West Middle School, and Seton Catholic Central from rec park. And if you need a sign, you shouldn't be out walking alone.
Well, again, I haven't done too much digging into it, but they did say that the signs were required if they were going to be able to channel funding into improvements at rec park. That is not a priority project. And the raise, I didn't mention the numbers that were thrown around for this rubber, not curb, crosswalk,
Elevated
raised crosswalk, elevated crosswalk. They said it's probably around 12 to 15,000. So it'd be about half the grant just for that one intervention. And they thought it would last like 1 to 3 years. The plows will have to lift up as they go over it. Or it won't last 1 year. Yeah. But the idea, the intent of that is to basically to pilot it, right? And if we find that the raised crosswalk is improving the situation by the high school, then we would be looking for money to create a more permanent solution.
So would it be useful to have part of the study take place after the crosswalk goes in so we can see if there's actually a difference in speed or traffic count or anything?
That's a good question. And of course, and that's what we're actually voting on tonight is relatively flexible. So I can communicate that back since I'm now in contact with basically every party that one can think of that is tied to the school side of this grant. I can bring that back to them to see if that's something they're interested in, but it sounds like they're going to have preliminary results, and I would assume that the ship has sailed on that timeline. But the study that the school district's doing is going to involve drones and heat maps, and like it's going to be a pretty thorough study from what I can gather from phone calls today.
Does anybody else have anything else to say?
Real
Happy
But-
that, I'm just happy that these funds will be used in this way because it's needed, right? I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to observe the drop off and pickup situation. I know that there's been incidences where students have been injured as a result of the congestion and just not clear pathways for students crossing. So I'm glad that, thank you so much for leading these efforts and making sure that everyone is on the same page so the funds could be used in the way that they are needed.
Councilmember Hotchkiss?
Yeah, thank you, Council Member Mataveski, for doing a ridiculous amount of background work in such a short time frame. I think the temporary speed bump, if it's only there for a year or less, and we can test it out other places, a lot of people have asked me if they can do that to try to address traffic issues on different streets. So that might be a good investment to have. Secondly, for like the longer term addressing pedestrian safety, it seems like something that should be wrapped into, we're doing like a project on Main Street that's all around pedestrian safety and like doing those big like curb bumps so that there's a shorter distance that pedestrians have to travel. And it's right there. So I think it makes sense to try to have it wrapped into that project. But Otherwise, I don't have any issue accepting this grant.
Anybody else? Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel,
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Murray, Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 7-0.
So we're moving on to introductory resolution R 25-13 considered in planning, and I'll hand it over to Councilmember Rathmel.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adopt R 2513, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a services agreement with the Metro Group for a Brownfield Opportunity Grant from the New York State Department of State.
I have a motion.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll just add context. This particular project, the amount is 500,000 of that grant for an affordable and workforce housing project at 187 Clinton Street that has been in the works now for a couple of years.
Anyone else?
We don't necessarily have an idea of, it's going to be like site remediation, something that isn't actually building anything, right? So, okay.
The idea was that, yes, this is all site work and pre-development work. that-
Pre-developed,
that
yeah.
Even if for some reason, the actual building project landed on its face, we would still end up with a readily buildable site. So we're trying to get as much permanent value to the site that's not tied to the actual building out of this money.
Yeah, they'll replace the contaminated soil and then put new topsoil in on top of that. So that way you have a site, whether ends up being a green space if the project goes through or not, but at least it's something you can build on later. Probably something similar to what's going to happen to a big property in your district, Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Yep. But we don't need to linger on this one anymore, but I hope they have continued funding for that type of work that needs to be done.
Anyone else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel,
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss,
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Councilmember Dundon, excuse me, Councilmember Middleton. I don't know
Aye.
how that happened. Councilmember Murray,
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Excuse me. Thank you. 7-0.
Been a long day for all of us. Moving on to introductory resolution R 25-14, considered in municipal and public affairs. I'll hand it over to Councilmember Middleton.
Thank you, President. I'd like to make a motion for introductory resolution 25-14. It's a resolution to authorize the change order 2 of the Ross Park Carousel restoration.
Aye.
Second.
So we have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, so basically, Julie came down on Monday just to show the upgrades that are gonna happen in Hadassah's lovely district at Ross Park. It's really beautiful and I'm excited for it to be there, to get going.
Yeah, and we have the new mural up there.
Nice.
Each of you received a oversized postcard of that mural. So the carousel will be moved up towards where that mural is. So there's going to be more vibrancy up in that part of the park.
I think more people will visit too. Like it's more, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll bring more people too.
We miss our carousel.
Oh. Can always just come to Rec Park.
What is CFJ first? Anybody else?
I'd like to make a motion to get rid of the president.
Second. So, any other discussion on this RL?
No.
Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Rathmel,
Aye.
Councilmember Matavetsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Hotchkiss.
Aye.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Middleton, Councilmember Murray,
Aye.
Council President Dundon.
Aye.
Thank you. That is 7-0.
So we're moving on to communications from council. I will start off with Councilmember Matavetsky tonight.
Bear with me. All right. There we go. I got a couple of pages of stuff here. All right, Discovery Center, they have their third Friday free admission night on March 21st. The zoo has schools out, buy one, get one on March 14th for admission. The Binghamton University Alumni Global Day of Service registration is up now, and it's open to alumni, students, faculty, staff, friends, and guests. There are 3 projects taking place in the South Side. The Broome County Humane Society Volunteer Day, Friday, April 25th, with a rain date of Tuesday, April 29th from 9 a.m. to noon, minimum age 13. Vines Chow Farm, Friday, April 25th from 9 a.m. to noon, 933 Conklin Road, Binghamton, minimum age 16. Greenway Maintenance Day, this is the one I'm captaining, and that's Friday, April 25th. Rain date is May 2nd, and that's from 1 to 3 p.m. And we'll be meeting behind the ball field at MacArthur. And the minimum age for that is 10. So there's a bunch of those. If you're interested, shoot me an email and I'll give you the link, or you can go to the Binghamton University Alumni Facebook page and they have a post with the link. Pal Camp. Oh, sorry. There's also Pal Camp volunteer project. So this one's not in the South Side, but the tie-in is that Pal Camp does have a bus that picks kids up from the South Side. They have a volunteer cleanup day, Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's 536 Strat Mill Road, Binghamton. And the minimum age to help with that is 18. Speaking of PAL, the camp will be open for 5 weeks, 1 week's session starting Monday, July 7th and finishing Friday, August 8th. Camp hours are Monday through Friday, 8:45 a.m. to 2:45 p.m. There's a busing schedule that will be forthcoming. Last year, they had busing from Saratoga and some other spots within the South Side. I'll share that information when it's posted. Registration is not open quite yet, but you can follow the Binghamton Police Athletic League PAL Facebook page for updates. Coming soon, so I communicated with the recreation supervisor, Jake Bingham. There will be youth tennis lessons at MacArthur Park, youth pickleball clinic at Webster Street Park in Councilman Rathmell's district, youth swim teams both at MacArthur and Webster pools. And they will be partnering with MacArthur 5th grade elementary for Arbor Day tree planting. So those are some of the fun upcoming things. Be remiss if I didn't mention Southside Neighborhood Assembly, March 18th at 7 p.m. at MacArthur. The assistant to the mayor and the acting commissioner of public works, Josh Beluti, will be there, as well as Councilman Rathmell and myself. I continue to work on blue bags through conversations. Some store owners maybe didn't even receive information on the updated pricing. Working with the treasurer's office to get that all fixed so that we can move forward with getting blue bags filled in Southside East. Be funny if it weren't real.
Oh, Hadassah, just an update. They called me today, so
Good,
we got everything situated.
great, but I would guess that you're not the only one, so.
Actually felt really bad about it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, so we are working through the issues. I was hoping to have a good announcement relating to the food bank in my district, but hopefully that will be by our next meeting. So that's a teaser. Hopefully there's good news coming, but I'm not gonna ruin it by saying something and then it not panning out. So, but I've been working a lot with the food bank, and Rebecca came out with me too. So thank you for that. Okay, I think that's it for me.
Councilmember Rathmell.
Oh, thank you. We'll see if this mic lasts for 30 seconds. So actually just to expound on the Weiss closure last year that resulted in Southside East being a food desert. over a year now. I do want to represent a group of Southside East neighbors have been meeting to discuss food access strategies that aren't reliant on either bureaucratic processes or nonprofit engagement, really just a grassroots neighbor to neighbor effort. And those neighbors have come up with what we're calling the ride, share and shop opportunity. So really intended to bring neighbors who need a ride to the grocery store or assistance with grocery shopping together with other neighbors who are willing, interested, willing and able to either provide that ride or do that shopping. I will post the volunteer sign up form on my Facebook page. Again, we're hoping to build a volunteer base first before we broaden the full form for folks to sign up for the actual assistance. So for folks listening, check out my Facebook page. Feel free to email or reach out as well, and I'm happy to send the link.
Councilmember Kavanaugh. Councilmember Middleton.
Yay. Okay. First, I'll start off with March is for Women's Month. Yay to all the. I just wanted to say, I'm grateful. You know, I'm glad I'm a woman, but also just to the women that I currently serve with. It is hard serving in office and being a mother, and just if someone, you know, asked, you know, if you're asked to serve in this capacity, you always have to worry about so many things. If you have, you know, another job, your children, and just constantly doing the right thing. So I just want to say, give a shout out to all you beautiful ladies. It is a hard job being in this role, in this capacity, being a mother and being a woman, even your wife, Sarah, Sam. But it is a very hard task being a woman just in general. So happy Women's Month. Also, West Side neighborhood meeting. We had a meeting, Robert and myself, last week. We didn't have a really good turnout, so we're going to continue that on March 27th at the Unitarian Church. Myself and my two daughters will be around knocking on doors and putting up flyers to really get a sense of the noise issue with Abel's Pub. So that's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Murray.
You. So I had the pleasure to attend the First Ward Neighborhood Watch meeting that is held the second Tuesday of each month at the senior center on Clinton Street. And so I just wanted to at 6:15. And so I just wanted to encourage residents to attend if they have concerns that they'd like to articulate within that space. I'm not sure how many people are actually aware of it, so I just want to use this platform in order to increase awareness of that opportunity, as well as encouraging folks to reach out to me directly if they have concerns and maybe aren't able to attend that meeting or don't want to, which is absolutely fine. And so I'll also be sharing additional opportunities for community meetings and conversations in the future.
Thank you. Councilmember Hotchkiss.
I am looking forward to spring. I think there's going to be a lot of great stuff going on in my district in springtime. So that's all. Thanks.
I have nothing to comment on, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
You can split between motion and second.